From KMUW Wichita,
from Toronto, Ontario,
and from Armia, Spain,
this is You're Saying It Wrong. Let's talk words. Hey there, Ross Petrus. Of course, you are at your home in Toronto. It's just a beautiful spring going on here in the Midwest, at least today. Hey, tomorrow there could be a huge rainstorm. How's Toronto, though, right now?
Toronto's good. It's doing really well. And I have to hand it to you. You pronounced Toronto correctly.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of people, you did not pronounce the T. Which is very, yeah, I know. A lot of people say, "How is it in Toronto?" But you said Toronto, which is good.
Are there Canadians who say Toronto, or do pretty much all Canadians say Toronto?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know a fair amount of people from BC, but I've known them, so I don't really think.
Yeah.
I think they pretty much say Toronto, actually.
Yeah. And didn't you say one time that if you're really into it, you say like Toronto,
yeah. Something like that. Yeah, but I hear mostly Toronto.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah. If I said Toronto, I think I would really sound like a,
No, I don't think it's
poser.
Well, of course, Kathy Petrus at her home in Armia. How did I do with the pronunciation there? Armia? Do I need to do something?
No, just plain old Armia.
Just plain old Armia. Okay,
yeah,
great.
Armia, España. Make it sing, Fletcher. Sorry.
Today we are jumping back into the mailbag. Always fun. We always love your questions. Please keep sending them to us. We are jumping off with a question about kind of a nonsense phrase that actually sort of kind of makes sense.
This one we actually had touched upon ages ago, but we got an email from Kenny. No idea where Kenny is from, who said, have you ever heard the sentence, colorless green ideas sleep furiously? And can you talk about it? I suspect Kenny is trying to check our bona fides. Do you think, Ross?
Very much so, I think.
I do remember us bringing this up at one point, and I think it was... it may not be this same thing, but I think it's when we were talking about things like garden path sentences.
Fletcher, you're correct. That was exactly what we were talking about. However, this is not a garden path sentence.
Just before we talk about this, since we brought it up, what is a garden path sentence? So then we can leave it behind.
I'm going to interrupt though and say, actually, we talked about it when we were talking about, because I made a note of this, Escher sentences.
Oh, Escher sentences.
Yeah.
Right. These were sentences that looked at first glance like they made sense, but when you really looked hard at them, you couldn't make them sort of match up.
Exactly. The one I have right in front of me was the famous one that we talked about was, more people have been to Berlin than I have.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it sounds perfect. You go, yeah, okay. But if you like really listen, you go, what?
Right.
Okay,
I remember.
Yeah, and a garden path sentence is a grammatically correct sentence, but your interpretation is incorrect.
Yeah, it leads you down the winding path, and then you end up
path. Exactly. But in this case, we have like nothing to basically. Oh, actually, though, I want to say one quick thing. We were talking about Escher sentences. I was just reading the other day. Let me just see if I can find it on Facebook, my wife's Facebook, since I don't usually go on it. But and there was an ad, and it was something to the effect of, "As a smoker, lignosis has cleared my lungs and stopped my daily cough." And I looked up that ad, and it's everywhere, in Canada at least. "As a smoker, lignosis cleared my lungs." So it's lignosis a smoker?
That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
clearing his lungs.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, because I'm seeing more and more of that, and I think people are really losing the basics of grammar at this point. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and as fast and loose as we play sometimes on this show, it is pretty important to be able to make a sentence so that you can communicate an actual idea to people.
Right. Although
that would be nice.
In this case, and here there's a problem, because in this case the other side of the coin is you do get what's going on. James is the smoker. And lignosis is
and
what
is lignosis, Ross? I'm gonna ask.
I know. I don't know. It's
you do in this particular case, but with that same problem, some minor, differences in the actual words could cause you, a headache.
Right. Exactly. And actually, though, interestingly enough, that leads into the Noam Chomsky thing, because we're talking here about two different things: grammar, and we're talking about syntax, the order of the sentence, if it's correct or not, and then we're talking about meaning. So in a case, language is kind of tricky a lot of times.
Right. So this sentence, the colorless green ideas sentence, is something that Noam Chomsky came up with.
Yes, and it was his huge thing when he was like discussing how something can be syntactically correct yet meaningless.
Right.
And this is what we want to chat about with you. This is going to be a little chat time, because Ross and I both have similar yet different, but we both kind of, I think, Ross, feel the same way. What do you feel about that sentence? Colorless green ideas sleep furiously.
What do I think about it? I think you kind of have to hold more than one idea in your head at the same time in order to make any sense out of it. But I think in the abstract, it's not meaningless exactly.
Yes, we love you. Okay, you're in our team.
that was our idea too. And the key thing here is he actually in his book Syntactic Structures, which is not exactly easy reading at night, he had two sentences: colorless green ideas sleep furiously. And the next sentence was furiously sleep ideas green colorless. And his point was that we can analyze colorless green ideas sleep furiously in two ways. The first way is syntax. We're talking about the word order. Does the word order make sense? The second way, of course, is meaning. Does the meaning make sense? And I think looking at this, Fletcher, can you see where it doesn't make sense in terms of syntax?
I'm pasting it into the chat so you just can look at it, because I think looking at it makes it.
Yeah, let's look at that sentence for a second.
I have to find the chat. It's like, where's the chat at?
Okay, so we're still talking about that. Oh. Yeah, that first one. Colorless green ideas sleep furiously.
So let's analyze it in terms of how the sentence is structured.
I don't know how to do that.
But we're saying it looks like a sentence.
Colorless green ideas, is that you get that's sort of like the subject of the sentence, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, sure.
So you see that. Then you have what do those colorless green ideas do? They sleep.
Uh-huh.
And then we have how do they sleep? They sleep furiously. Right. Now look at the second sentence.
I didn't give him the second sentence.
Okay, the second sentence is furiously sleep ideas green colorless. Does that make... There's a modicum of sense in the first sentence, isn't there?
Right. Correct. Yes.
The second sentence, do you see any sense at all?
No, that's just a bunch of words.
Right. Exactly. So his idea, Chomsky's idea, was that we're kind of processing these sentences. When we see a sentence, we process it in two ways. We do it, first of all, does it kind of make sense? And we were talking about Jabberwocky. 'Twas brillig in the slithy toves, did gyre and gimble in the wave. And that doesn't sound, we don't know what gyre and gimble.
It was gyre.
It's not. Gimble. It is not.
I thought it was gyre.
Ah, my dear sister, my dear sibling.
Yes,
go into this, hard G.
It's a hard G. And hold up, I've got.
It's a hard life too. Let me tell you right now.
Lewis Carroll's pronunciation guide, and I will quote in the preface to Through the Looking Glass. The new words in the poem Jabberwocky have given rise. Pronounce slithy as in the two words. Slithy. Make the G hard in gyre and gimble.
Crap.
I love it. I'm really happy to know that, because I remember, it was this last week or the week before, I mentioned how much I loved Jabberwocky when I was a kid. And I do remember a teacher of mine in elementary school, so give that teacher credit, working with us to break down Jabberwocky. And I do remember her saying gyre.
Because I thought it was gyre too.
I always read it as gyre, like myself, and so I was surprised when she said that. But also, she was my teacher, right? So,
I was thinking it was gyrating.
That's what that was her idea too. Yeah, no, she was right with you, Kathy.
Okay, I like your teacher.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of
Lewis
sense.
Carroll, dead to me now.
Okay, but jumping back here, we've got, it kind of makes sense, like these things, even if we don't really know what the words necessarily mean, or, we can't like define every part of each of these sentences. You're right that when you look at any of these, they kind of make sense. Jabberwocky or colorless green ideas sleep furiously.
Well, but his point was that you can have a syntactically sound sentence that means nothing. And my argument, though, is, as many others, is I think he's looking at it so dryly that it can indeed mean something. Then that's what Ross and I started talking about.
Yeah, that's the big point. We both think that he was a little bit, he basically said this sentence is basically ridiculous. You're not going to ever, it's remote from English. And I think he was kind of like separating the two ideas, syntax or word order or whatever, and meaning, and kind of making them really separated. And recently they've been doing all sorts of studies which are way beyond me, in neurolinguistics, the brain, little parts of the brain that look at stuff. And the idea is there's much more of a dialogue in your head between syntax and meaning, and we kind of like half create meaning and or fully create meaning. Like I saw this sentence years ago, and colorless green ideas to me instantly meant something, kind of new ideas that are sort of bland. And interesting. And they sleep and then like sort of in your head, but they're kind of darting around your head, like really dumb ideas are darting around your head all the time. How did you think?
That's interesting. See, now I didn't think that at all. But that's interesting. That's very interesting how you're thinking of it.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't have like a concrete meaning for this, but it does. I mean, I can, in that way where you hold an idea that doesn't necessarily have literal meaning to you, but it has like some sort of emotional meaning to you. You can hold that pretty easily with this sentence. Obviously colorless and green are opposed ideas here. Like something can't be colorless and green, but you can, if you're able to hold those two opposing ideas in your head at the same time, then that instantly is pretty easy, like to make it mean something, but like if you're able to hold those two contradictory ideas at the same time, then this, it's not necessarily meaningless. You just you still have this, there's an emotional feeling to it still.
But there's also, it also could in a way be, we have the word bittersweet, for example, combines bitter and sweet, and it has a definite meaning. So in effect, colorless green to me, to me very strongly, I didn't see it as meaningless at all. I just saw it as colorless.
Well, then we go back to I'm sorry, I've got to interrupt though. I was just going to say Sam Goldwyn with my favorite, maybe it's apocryphal, but I loved it. It's like, you got to take the bitter with the sour.
Yeah, I love that.
But no, for me, and this is what I said to you, Ross. As a kid, I adored the book Harriet the Spy, and I think it was when the kids had found her notebook. She was like, journaling, which we would now call it, and she was like in the park, and it was really green, and she wrote angry green, and the green was hurting. She couldn't figure it out, and just crossed it out and wrote, before the rain, the world is green. That was all she put. And to me, colorless green gave me that feeling.
I think that's a really good one, Kathy. And that's the whole point. We do create meaning from what's seemingly meaningless. And I think that's where Chomsky, I think he basically evoked something, and same with the Jabberwocky, where we may not know the exact word, but we begin to like fill it in. And there are all sorts of really complex, like I forget, N150 and P600 brain and interpretations in the brain, trying to do stuff. But I guess I say, for me, one really sympathetic answer is, I think I've said this before, when I first started to read, there was a word, SWEATER. Yes. And I had no idea what it was. And like, Tommy came back from school and put his sweeter, I said sweeters.
Oh, yeah.
And the lack of, I didn't even I didn't use my P600 part of the brain. I didn't even try to reinterpret it. But I accepted the grammar. I didn't worry about it. I just kept going. It wasn't a very good story either, actually, but whatever.
It's
the term.
fascinating.
But you know what this kind of reminds me of, and people use, I guess, this analogy incorrectly often, but if you guys ever watch David Lynch movies,
Oh,
like
yeah.
especially his more abstract ones, you know, people often think David Lynch means weird, and I guess that's true, but what he was amazing at doing was showing you something that doesn't necessarily have a literal meaning, but that you still very much understand on some other kind of level. And seeing a sentence like this, you're able to understand it on some level, and it might mean something very different to me than it does to you, but it's not meaningless. It's just not.
I like how you put that.
It's not literally obvious to everybody, right?
I agree. I think that was very well put. I really do, actually.
Thanks.
I think so too.
Okay.
Although here the key point really though for Chomsky though was that we do process language in different ways and we're not really quite aware of it all the time, I think. Actually, that reminds me, did you ever watch Star Trek The Next Generation?
Yeah.
A bit.
Do you remember the Tamarian episode?
No.
Picard goes to some planet and the universal translator translates what the aliens are saying. But the aliens like speak basically in metaphor. So they takes the literal meaning, it doesn't really get it, and he ends up killing the alien, I think. And then he realizes that the whole problem was the alien was trying to get him to help, and he didn't get it. And he finally figures out that they're speaking in like they have like a metaphorical language. So
oh god, that would be so difficult to live.
And he finally, I think he goes, hey, we have to study mythology, like our mythology, human mythology, so we can really get what's going on. And he finally does, and they honor him, and they honor his, being upset about killing the alien. But it was an interesting idea, really. That we think we know literal meanings. We're getting way off of Chomsky, but we think
I know,
well,
to direct it back a little bit to Chomsky, because what fascinates me is the clash between, well, it's not even a clash, but what is nonsense, coherence versus cohesion, if you will. And it's like so much of it is what we're bringing into it, you know what I mean? And it gets it can get twisted very easily, a la metaphor.
Yeah, and
we're all smart.
well, we took our own garden path right here, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Wound around. I mean, obviously we weren't directly talking Chomsky the entire time, because that would be a different conversation, probably a drier one. But that's part of the fun of language, is being able to take this idea that he had and to jump off and have the conversation that we just did.
Indeed. I've just got to say, Kenny was the one who generated this. I just saw Sam again saying, you asked us to talk about it. So there you have it, baby.
Be careful what you wish for.
It's interesting. There was like a contest to basically try to put meaning into that thing, and there were a whole bunch of guys who did. And the big poet John Hollander, he was a huge American poet. He wrote a poem, which I'm going to read, which I don't particularly like, but here's this poem from 1971.
Don't say that.
Curiously deep, the slumber of crimson thoughts, while breathless in stodgy viridian, colorless green ideas sleep furiously.
I like it.
You kind of like it? Okay, it's not bad. How about this one?
It's not Angus my personal.
I'm going to read Angus McIntosh. Tortured in my mind's eye at its small peephole, sees through the virid glass the endless ghostly oscillographic stream. Furiously sleep ideas green colorless. He did the other one. Madly awake am I at my small window. I don't know. That's a kind of cool.
I don't know. I think Angus trying a little too hard.
Actually, I have to admit, I think Hollander's was better. I think I'm trying to like the Angus.
Okay, this is our assignment, guys. Next week, I want both of you to write a small poem, 4 lines only, with one of those 2 lines.
What about 5 lines and make it a limerick?
Okay, we can try that. I think we can all play with it. Let's see what we
Let's do
do.
it. A limerick with that.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I think we can try with any kind of poem with that. Let's see it. Let's try it.
A sonnet. No, sorry.
An
I'm
epic.
excited. Well, Ross, you like Latin. You're also like ancient Greek. You could do a Homeric sort of thing.
Okay, I'll do a Homeric. Okay, that's great. Yeah. I'll do it in Latin, of course, but then you guys don't know it, so I can't read it to you. Well, too bad. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Kenny. I think for that.
Well, let's move on towards the next question.
Very good, Fletcher.
Thank you. Let's read this one. This is something I've always wondered about myself.
This is an email with a nice, neat, non-Chomsky question. Thank you, Christina.
But also thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, right. Kenny, we already thanked you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Christina from St. Louis. Or is it St. Louis or St. Louis?
No, it's St. Louis. Oh, French would be Saint Louis, but in St. Louis, Missouri, it's St. Louis.
You haven't been gone.
Isn't it Missouri?
I said Missouri.
Stop.
I said Missouri again. Our little brother sister quibble here. I did say Missouri, and it's St. Louis. I was there.
Isn't it pronounced Missouri? Though?
Not when I was there, and I'm not from there. So when I went there, they said Missouri. I don't know.
What does Christina have to say?
We should ask her exactly. Maybe she can chime in on that.
It was a very simple one. She said, "When do you use toward, and when do you use towards?"
Right.
Toward versus towards.
Yeah, and I don't have the answer. I'm excited because I'm hoping you do. Probably the answer is it doesn't matter, or they're the same thing. What are you even talking about? But
actually, Fletcher, the answer is it's Latin. No.
It really is. Interesting.
Ross, take it away.
It's not Latin, Fletcher. It's actually Old English, and it doesn't really matter in terms of in general, but it sort of matters where you are. In the US and in Canada, toward, no S, is preferred. In other English-speaking countries, such as the UK and Australia, towards is the most common. Now, I don't really think it really matters to me either way. Although, oddly enough, I'm going towards, what would I say? I'm trying to think of what I would say.
I think I do S's more often. Oddly.
It's funny, as you were talking, Ross, I could see Kathy sort of mouthing it to herself, trying to figure out what. And I was doing the same thing. I'm not even sure. Is anybody really sure what they say here? I wonder.
Because I had the same thing, but oddly enough, when I was thinking, I would say towards. I'm going towards, whatever. But I think when I wrote it, I think I would say toward.
I think you're right. I think I think that's what I do too. I think I say towards. I'm going towards that. And I'm writing it. I go, well, I'm writing it.
Yeah.
Towards feels like less formal, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Which is interesting because a lot of times we take the British version feeling more formal, don't we? Just because of our own biases, I guess. But not in this case. No, towards definitely feels less formal.
Which is really interesting, Fletcher, because I think Kathy found this old grammarian from England waxing on and on rhapsodic about towards. And he said, the etymology of the word furnishes no pretext for the S. Its addition is merely arbitrary, also capricious, for few writers use it uniformly. In the common parlance of uneducated people, nothing is more common than somewheres, anywheres, etc. And nothing is more vulgar.
I love these guys. I really do.
I know.
Just calm down. What was this? The Edward S. Gould.
That was a really great find, Kath. I loved that.
Thank you.
He wrote usage and abusage in good English, I guess. But
I would love, they always do those things like who'd you like to be on a desert, or who could you meet if they were dead or alive for dinner. I would like to have some of these guys at my table, wouldn't you?
I can't imagine what that conversation would be like. Is anybody doing anything but correcting each other?
But it's sort of interesting. I know, exactly. But it's sort of interesting, though, because I think it's sort of reverse snobbery, because in England, they did start saying towards. And then in the US, I think because we wanted to be more British than the British, we got rid of the S to some degree in formal speech. I guess that's what's happened to me. That would make the most sense to me.
Do you know if we go all the way back? You said it started in Old English. Did it have an S? When did the S come in? Do you have any idea? Or like, did it start out with the S?
No, it did not start out with the S at all.
They both got, but I'm saying towards was the adverb derived from toward.
Yeah, but it comes from the word weard in Old English.
Right.
And then they chunked on the two sometime, I think in later Old English, actually. And the two was chunked onto it. And then the S came in, I think from the 1700s, actually, into British English.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it went backward or backward into American
Ross.
English. Was a different way, which, speaking of which, then, Fletcher, we've gone into that. What do you say? I put my shirt on backwards. I put my shirt on backward.
Put my shirt on backwards. Hey.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, your shirt's on backward. Your shirt's on backwards. I think I'd say backwards. Yeah, I think I would.
Me too.
I would too.
What about you, Ross?
Same thing.
Backward to me is a different word.
Okay, like, but then
backward, something is backward, is a different word to me. It has a different meaning. I put this on backwards. That is a backward.
Well, it's an adverb defining how you put.
No, I know that, Ross. But I'm saying,
I don't understand what you mean.
I'm saying backward. I only use as an adjective. That's a backward way of thinking.
Yeah,
or the adjective is right. You're right.
Yeah,
or even that picture is backward. Backward. Yeah.
No, I would say backwards.
Really?
Wouldn't you?
You would say backwards. Just that picture is backward. It's backward. It's backwards.
Oh no, I would say it's backward too.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But you put it up backwards. You put it up backward. No, I'd still probably say backward. This is weird. I don't think there's much consistency in what I do.
No, there's not. You put it up backward.
Well, we have this thing, which is really about to scream. Backwards is an adverb in English, in British English, and backward is an adjective.
I know.
In American English, the rule may be reversed. So I think the key thing we have to take home from this is don't worry about it. Whatever you think goes.
Or never use it.
Yeah, so basically we have the word, and that sometimes people put an S on it for whatever reason, and that's it. Like there's no real answer. There's no definitional difference. There's no real hard rule about which should be used when. And even we ourselves have admitted we're not consistent.
Okay, let's go one more word now. One other another word. Forward. Mm-hmm. Do you say forward or forwards?
Move forwards. Go forward. I'm not sure I say forwards. That seems a little weird now that I'm saying that out loud.
That's what I think. I'm the same way, Kath.
Totally. And I'm looking it up though in the OED. Okay, the OED I've never used forwards. I've always said forward.
Forward.
Oh.
Although they're saying forwards is more common in British, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand.
I'm looking this up though right now, and I am not necessarily agreeing with this because I am not seeing a forwards in the OED. That's not archaic, unless I'm looking incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing it. I don't know about you guys. I don't know that I've really seen forwards even in British English. Have you, Ross? You're in Canada.
I don't know. Forward is clearly what I would say, and is clearly what I would expect. And I've been here so long now, I would think if I were hearing forwards, I would have noticed it. And I don't think I did have. I think it may be one of those things they're just writing that this is used and it really isn't. I don't know. But the key thing, I think, the takeaway is it doesn't really make any difference. And the one thing I want to add is we should have gone into the word part. Do you know where that comes from? It's really sort of interesting.
What is it? You mentioned the Old English weird. Is it? That's the same thing. Yeah.
And it comes from which Kathy will know, because it comes from the Proto-Indo-European word, sort of like they pronounce like that, which is to turn or to bend. And Kathy, which word is word related to? Yes.
Oh, really?
Worm. Yep. Worm.
I remember you saying that. Yeah, I remember you saying worm. Worm is one of the oldest words that we have. Did they just have like 3 words and one of them was worm, and so they made every other word out of the worm?
Well, yeah,
Worm, mom, and dirt.
Yeah.
That's very that study is very controversial, but it sounds sort of cool to me anyway.
Well, Ross and I keep talking about a book about this. We still haven't gotten our hands on it, but it'll come.
It's basically statistically going back, but there's a lot. The problem with it is it gets really complex, and there are a lot of people who go, "This is crud. This is not true. This is crap." You don't know. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to ask you guys another word. Awkward.
Oh, that.
What about it?
I never would have assumed that. I never would have assumed that was related. No.
Is awkward related to worm? Of course it is.
It's awkward related to forward. Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yep.
I figured it was related to worm too.
Well, it is. And that's forward going back. Yeah. The awkward worm turned. Yeah. So it's turning
and slept furiously, I might add.
Yes. The awk is backhanded. They don't know where that word comes from, and you're turning back. Therefore, you're clumsy. Isn't that cool?
If I can interject, this is what's fascinating with language, though, because awk to me, of course, means turning back. I don't know why either.
Yeah.
Awk. Well, I think you're right. There's like this. I mean, going back to Chomsky, the sound.
That's what I'm saying.
I think you're right, Kathy. I think that's really a good point.
Yeah, because walk to me means like doing this with my hands, kind of like you can see, but it does. That, Ross, like that.
Yeah, like that, Ross.
It is awkward. Yeah, I think you're right.
Let the record show Kathy was sort of putting her hands together and sticking her elbows up in the air and turning her hands in toward herself.
It's a very not smooth move.
No, awkward, you might say.
Yes, you might.
Now, I'm going to throw one more word out here before we go on. There's an Old English word, fromward, which means with the back turned as opposed to toward. Now, this is what I'm going to throw into you here. The Old English word they have in the etymologies is fromwords with an S.
Ha!
Isn't that horrifying?
Yeah,
which maybe means Kathy was right. Maybe it was from Old English too, the S.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to understand fromwords. I don't even understand what that means. Okay, so my back is to you and I'm walking away. Is it walking away?
I'm about to depart. It says with my back turned.
Okay, so fromwords is like I'm basically going, I've had enough of this.
Well, from is
boom. I'm fromwords.
The from is a preposition which means movement away in time or space. They're saying. So fromward, which is an interesting word. So you go towards someone and then you go fromward, from them, away.
It's funny
because turning away.
Yeah.
It's funny because we have to and from, and we don't really think about from now the same way, even though it kind of still means the same thing. Like if I'm getting something from you, what we're thinking about now is that I am getting something is coming to me from you, but that means it's away from you, away.
Yeah.
You.
It's like to and fro.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't really think about it that way anymore.
And there is an Old English word, froward, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's froward is the definition of froward is fromward, which is interesting.
So froward is the opposite of forward.
Yeah.
So I go forward and froward.
Yeah. Froward is the opposite of toward.
Toward. Yeah.
To and fro, you said, and you're right. To,
Yeah.
forward,
But
fro,
now is
froward.
forward the opposite of froward? This is where I'm getting confused now.
Well, I think I could go froward and forward, couldn't I? At
I
the
think
same
you
time?
could. Yeah.
Because
I
you're
don't know.
you-
It's like,
I
also think one thing,
want Noam Chomsky here right now.
I was thinking if we go back in time into Old England, we're going to be really annoying a lot of Old English people going, what are you talking about?
Excuse me. Hello?
Because I just looked up forward, though, as in what we were just talking about, comes from the Old English preposition for, which is in front of. So it doesn't have any relation to from.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
I believe that. Yeah, that makes sense.
But the words are sort of merged. Anyways,
Froward also means someone
let's
to
get
difficult
going.
with, to deal with. A
Anyways, let's get
froward
going.
person was irritating.
Okay, I'm going to cut into Kathy. Anyways, let's get moving on. Fletcher, anyways or anyway?
Oh, are we talking about anyways now?
Yes.
Anyways. No, I never say anyways. Anyway. No, I never say anyways.
And we like
Kathy?
you for that. No, anyways, bad. Ross.
Never.
Yeah, no. Anyways, this is a pet peeve of mine. It is. We're going to talk about pet peeves and soon. Ross and I have an idea. But anyways is one of those things that you see all the time now. It's considered an informal thing. It's in all the dictionaries. They say it's a transition. We're going to become more accepting of it. I detest it.
Yeah.
I don't like how it sounds. I would never use it. I don't think it's a particularly big deal if you do use it. I mean,
I hate it.
I don't like it, but I don't know. It doesn't, I mean,
Anyways.
You don't mind it, do you?
I don't like it. Well,
anyways, let's go. I mean, I tried to say it earlier. Anyways,
I do it anyway. I'll do it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't care for it.
No.
I know it's accepted now and it's colloquial and I'm coming off as a really annoyance, but no.
Okay, want to do one last one?
Sure.
Gabber?
This is another, you're like doing this just so I could be like the cranky one. In regards to.
In regard to. Yeah. In regards to. It's okay. Look, when you first said it, I thought the regards to sounded ridiculous, but now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't think it's that bad.
I agree with you, actually, now that we're talking about it.
Okay.
I thought I would hate it, but I don't.
No, and technically it's considered wrong. Regard is a noun. Is like it says like in consideration of or whatever. It's a verb. You can say regards, and that means applies to. So you technically really shouldn't say it. People have a real problem with this. I don't, like Kathy doesn't either.
Yeah, I don't think I mind that much.
But the only time you really should say regards is when it's, like giving my regards to some people. Give my regards
to Broadway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But you shouldn't say it. I think we can not give Kathy regards to her singing.
I think we should have a karaoke hour.
Oh, wow.
But I don't really have too much problem with that at this point. It's become so idiomatic. And we at one point we had a book and we had a headline which was the Trump U.S. is in good position in regards to North Korea. It was a headline in ABC News. And you understand it instantly. Do you really care if it's a verb here? It should be a noun,
Actually, I think you're right. I think that I still don't like anyways, though. I think anyways is bad. Regards, okay.
But the key thing really with all of this is, and it's constant, is language is constantly changing, and things that were once wrong are now correct. And it sort of matters in the sense that you want to get your point across, and you also want to be like respected, not thought like a fool or whatever. And I think we have to basically go with what sounds right to us now, and I think we're all in agreement. Anyways sounds bad. In regards to doesn't sound bad.
Although I bet, in like 5 or 10 years, I'm going to say anyways is just Danzy. Very possibly.
We need to like acknowledge that anyways sounds bad to us in our now in our very specific corner of English language. There are a lot of people who speak different kinds of English, that may say it anyways.
Right.
And it's perfectly normal for their context.
But given the context, for example, one thing I don't like is when people go, it doesn't really matter, language is changing. Yeah, but if you want to get a job, and if you want to
you have to stick to the register. Yeah,
you do have to speak to the language that most people are using now in our context, and that's why I would never advise someone, even if they said anyways all the time, and even if we're both all saying it doesn't really matter, I would still say don't do anyways in a memo to your boss or in an article. That's what I would say too. Mm-hmm. Unless you're in a place where everyone does say anyways, then it's fine.
Yep.
I'm going to sleep furiously about this topic.
Well, in regards to that, Kathy,
I have 2 small children. I will sleep any way I can. Furiously.
I think you win.
You're Saying It Wrong is part of the NPR network and is produced in the studios of KMUW in Wichita, Kansas by me, Fletcher Powell. Kathy Petrus records from her home in Armia, Spain. Ross Petrus from his home in Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Torrin Anderson composed our theme music, and our digital team is Beth Golay and Carly Cooper. You can find all of our past episodes by subscribing to the You're Saying It Wrong podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or by visiting us at kmuw.org. If you have a question for Kathy and Ross, if you'd like to suggest a topic, or you just want to reach out, you can email me at powell@kmuw.org or email them at kandrpetrus@gmail.com. You can also email us a voice memo of you asking your question. You might get your voice heard on air. If you'd like to do the same thing by downloading the KMUW app, you can do that and just click the Talk to Us button. You can find all of Kathy and Ross's books pretty much anywhere you get books, and a handful of them are also available on audiobook, read by the authors themselves. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.